Good evening. This is David Lynn, and you are watching Coffee Talk, number 431, 7 p.m. Central Time, Monday, April the 14th, 2025. And this is my live stream number 431. KP Heathen, how are you doing, my friend? Well, I'm glad you're doing good. Claudette, I am doing as well as can be expected. I've got 6 weeks to go before school is out for the summer. I am tired and I am ready for vacation time. Well, you're looking at a mirror image. Like I'm holding up my right hand right now. It looks like I'm holding up my left. You're getting a mirror image with my iPad, and I don't know how to correct it. Well, I hit the wrong button. I thought that might flip it around. It flipped it around, but it's empty cover. So I'm sorry about that. Devil Dog is live. Well, that's good for him. Good for him. You know, a lot of people are live. Camp Patton Family Compound. Gil Patton is live right now. I think I was using this time slot first, but then I went for several months without using it when my wife was in the hospital and rehab and all that. I wasn't live streaming at that time, and I think he started up at some point using the time slot. He's been live streaming probably longer than I have, but I'm not worried about it. Idaho Garden Girl, how are you doing? I will say this, I'm not in competition with anybody. I'm not in competition with anybody. I'm old. I'm quite comfortable with myself. I don't. I'm not jealous of anybody. A real good friend of mine, whose name happens to be David, and I call him Dave, and he goes by Yoda. For the longest time, my channel was bigger than his, and he'd follow behind me about 200 subscribers, and then something happened, and I backed off, and I wasn't doing what I was doing, and he got a couple ahead of me, a couple of hundred ahead of me, and then I was following behind him a couple of hundred, and then 3 or 4 months ago, his channel blew up. He made a few changes to it, and he went from having about 2,000 subscribers. He went from having a couple of thousand subscribers. He's got like 8,000 subscribers now. He really blew up. Like in the period of less than a month, he had picked up over 1,000 subscribers, and it just started from there and just took off. I wish him well, and I'm very proud of him, and I'm very happy for him. Wish a little bit more of it would rub off on me, but it is what it is. And he sends me lists of people I should reach out to, and I really haven't I haven't done it. You know, I just haven't had time, hadn't felt like it, and maybe this summer I'll do it. My goal this summer, his goal is to hit 10,000. My goal is to hit 2,000. I'll worry about where I go from there after I hit 2,000. But I still have about 120 some odd to go before I hit 2,000. Yeah, that's true. Sometimes it only takes a small change. Anyway, I had a nice card today in the mail from Uncle Al. He sent me an Easter card. David and family, wishing you a springtime that's filled with reasons to smile, from Uncle Al, Die Bullfrog 79. Like, oh, it's all crooked. My friend Uncle Al. A mail call. And he's a very good man. And he deserves 10,000 subscribers. He really puts out really good material. Hello, Melinda. Thank you for coming. So, I am in the process of revisiting some of my friends, sending them goodie packages. Not goodie powders, but goodie packages. Back in Georgia, where my people are from, my father's people, they got a headache, they use goodie powders. Whereas we take a Bear aspirin, or we take a Tylenol or Advil or whatever, they take goodie powders. A lot of them, you know. It just fills my heart with joy to think about some of the stuff that they have back there that we don't necessarily. Joking about Boudreaux, like in Louisiana, Boudreaux's butt cream. You know, you use that for rashes with little babies and little kids and such. And if you get some rashing down, you know, wherever, Boudreaux's butt cream. That's another one. Just you can't get any more redneck than that. So 6 in the house, 7 likes. I get reminded, post that you're going to be on, or post that you're not going to be on. Or, you know, I get a little, you know, Uncle Al's real good about that. He'll remind me, post, you know, and I think, dang nabbit, I need to post, you know, and I wind up posting something, and I try to post a picture with it or whatever. I'm up on my views, thanks to my friends and thanks to what I guess I've been posting and video shorts and such I've been putting up. I care more about the content of my videos than my shorts, because most of my shorts are basically geared towards, what am I eating? What did I fix? You know, what sort of food did I fix? I took a picture and I did a little video of supper. I boiled, or, you know, I used a pot and cooker, and I made rice. And I had some microwavable meat, you know, reconstituted meat or whatever. And it had brown gravy, and then I made it, fixed it, gave it to my wife and myself, split it up, and then put the rice on it, and then used the gravy from the package, and I mean, made a nice meal for myself, and I drank coffee with it. Good to the last drop, and it's gone. I probably had about 5 cups of coffee today. But coffee is predominantly water, you know. Add coffee to it and put a little creamer in it. I usually use French vanilla. It is what it is what it is. Hello, Bud Files. Thank you for coming. Please leave a like to support the channel. And my friend Joseph Moore snuck in. Hello, Joseph. I wasn't paying attention. Joseph has retaliated against me. He he and his wife sent me a really nice gift from Amazon, and I'm going to do a video review of it. It is a real nice pack with emergency supplies. I would think that pack is probably a two-person pack, and you can add stuff to it. You can just purchase additional supplies that it came with to bulk up. Like, okay, 4 people instead of 2 people. Like say you got the kids. So you can add to it, or you want to add a couple extra days worth, you can add to it. You can add stuff that didn't come with it. You can. It's like doing an MRE review. You get these military rations from whatever country, or you get a survival ration, whatever, and it doesn't come with this, or it comes with this, and you don't like it. Well, mix and match. Add to it, subtract from it, use what you want, give the rest away. And that's something I do. People talk about, well, you get these low sodium emergency rations, and and they don't have beverages, and they don't have heaters, and I don't care for the heaters. I do not care for the heaters. The heaters aren't worth poop. I mean, if the ration's 3 years old, the heater's probably not going to work. It's just those U.S. Flameless ration heaters. Nope. Even when you add salt, they're not going to work. So it's like you got a little camp stove, boil some water, put it in hot water. That'll heat your ration. You want some coffee? Okay, carry along some packets of coffee. Carry some creamer packets. Carry some sugar or Splenda or whatever floats your boat as far as sweetener. It comes with peanut butter, but it doesn't come with jelly, or it comes with jelly and doesn't come with peanut butter. Okay, have some spare packets. Add packets to it. What's missing? Add to it. Mix and match. Create your own. There might be a crash, but that doesn't mean that you have to basically crash with it. Everybody's talking. Everybody's talking. My friends are talking. Looking down. Let me give you an update on my situation with my computer. I'm going to take it to school tomorrow, and I'm going to turn it over to my aide, who, come hell or high water, she's going to get whatever I need to do, and I will probably, during the course of the day, my lunch or whatever, I'll do a 5-minute test live stream to make sure it's working. And then the next time I do a live stream, I will be using my new MacBook Air. And I am sorry that I've been having so much trouble trying to get the thing, to do what I want to do. I can look at my channels, I can look at my analytics on it. I can cruise the internet on it and do all sorts of stuff. But for whatever reason, it says I need to have Chrome on that MacBook Air in order to. And I think I've got Chrome on it right now, but I need to really. It's like the first time I ever did a live stream, it was like, okay, touch and go. How do you do this? Boom, 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 trying to get the thing, just testing it. So it's going to be a little test stream, and I may wind up deleting it after I get it, worked out that I'm doing it, so that it doesn't. I don't know. I really want my first time to be a decent one, and then hopefully it won't be mirroring or flipping around like somebody says, you need to get some batteries for that thing up there because it's not telling. Well, actually, it is. It's a mirror. Like, this is my left. Looks like it might look like to you that it's my right, but this is my left. And so everything's reversed. Everything's reversed. and I apologize about that. Yes, I do work full time, and no, I'm not 30 anymore. I will be 63 in a period of 11 days. I don't want to keep repeating that too much because I'm afraid that they'll throw a party for me, and I don't want a party. They will make one of my pairs will make a cake, death by chocolate. I'll make sure I take pictures of it. They'll do a cake for me, and my paras and my students, and we'll eat cake. Let there be cake. Little Lone Prepper. Hello, Little Lone Prepper. But this summer, I expect to get my channel in high gear. When I'm at the point where I'm rested and I'm not doing much extraneous, except I can dedicate my days, a few days, to my channel, and I'm sure it will grow. I'm sure I'll put out some good content, and I'm sure it'll be really like it is right now. I've had 5,000 views in the last 48 hours. Actually, more than that. You know, and that's nothing to a large channel or to a larger channel. But for me, who averages 500-600 views a day, in 48 hours, I usually average about 1,000 views. So with me, it's like, okay, well, this month I had 15,000 views. Yeah, that's good. That's me chugging along the way I chug along. I'd like to get back to where I get over 100 views on my videos. I mean, I put out some decent videos. The one that I just put out about water, that's a good video. It's not that long. It's very informative, and it's a good preparedness video. And I wish more people would view it. Now, the other thing I will say, and I'm talking a lot, but then again, this is my show. Let's see real fast. I am mom of 4 boys. Hello, Rachel. So, boys, I'm learning as I go. Like, I'm learning how to do things. I can now look at people who are subscribed to me. If they do not hide their subscriptions, I can get a list of who subscribed to me. That's something I couldn't do before. I'm learning to do things with my equipment. I'm learning editing, how to edit better. I'm learning how to do graphics better. I have not been putting up music. If you notice the videos I've been putting up, I haven't been putting up music. Yes, the shorts I've been putting up music. And then I've been going with whatever the recommendations are. So like you've got the top music right now. Like Anxiety. I've put up 5, 6, 7 shorts recently with that song Anxiety. The Eurythmics, Sweet Dreams. I've done several shorts with that song. It's one of those just tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of channels and views and such. I've been trying to use music that the algorithm will push out, I get more views, and it seems to be working to a certain extent. It seems to be working to a certain extent. But if it's up to me, I like a lot of classic music that nobody listens to. Like every once in a while, I'll use Charlie Pride. Charlie Pride was a very, very, very successful, very good man who, he back in the '60s. Anybody going to Santone? I'm Just Me. I mean, he had a series of hits. He used to go to baseball camps during spring training, and he would go. He wanted to be a professional baseball player, and he would go, and he'd work out at the camps, and he'd try to make the team. You know, didn't make the team, but he'd go and they'd let him. He enjoyed that. I mean, remember Michael Jordan, probably uh, top five, and I mean everybody hypes certain people, but I very easily put him in the top five or the top 10 basketball players in history. You know, they said it's an insult. You didn't say he's number one. I see he's up there. But when he was at the height of his career, he stopped playing basketball and he went to go play baseball. He wanted to play baseball, and he was an outstanding fielder, but he couldn't hit a curveball. So originally he was playing big league, and then they dropped him down to the minors, and he did that for 1 or 2 seasons, and then he went back to basketball. In his final few years, he continued, basketball. But he couldn't hit a curveball. He couldn't, and he didn't have the bat to justify him being in the majors, you know. But basketball is one of the top ones to ever play, you know. And hey, Wayne. Another outstanding channel that I don't give near enough playtime to. And I mean, when I play his stuff, I listen to it. It's not like I'm not running a playlist and just trying to give him airtime. I'm listening to what this man has to say. He is an outstanding. He knows military. He knows civilian. He knows the law. He gives really good advice. I like listening to him sometimes when he's driving, and I haven't had the time for him. But see, that's another thing I'll have this summer. I've got 2.5 months, and all I have to do is, make a couple of meals a day, cook a couple of meals, drink my coffee, sit on my couch, and watch my videos, and make a few shorts, and every so often make a video and do a live stream for an hour. Hey, life is good. I've told him, if we lived near each other, he'd be my gunsmith, and he'd be my guy that I'd be buying. When I want to buy a weapon, I'd be buying from him. Uncle Al, Die Bullfrog 79. I'm sure I can this summer. I took a lot of college English too. You might want me to do some editing. Oh, Lord. Uncle Al, Die Bullfrog 79, my friend and mentor, and thank you for the card. Whoops, don't want to show your address. Thank you for the card. Uncle Al sent me a really nice Easter card. And I'm sorry, I'm still mirrored. Still using the iPad, and I'm still using the iPhone 12. And hopefully tomorrow I take my computer to school. My aide is going to do whatever she needs to do. She's going to get me all hooked up. She's going to take my new case. I'm going to have her hook everything up for me, put the case on, put the screensaver on, all the good stuff, and we'll be good to go. And hopefully I can My next live stream will be, it won't be mirrored. I'm planning on, I will probably do a 5 or a 10-minute test live stream tomorrow during my lunch hour at work. David and family, wishing you a springtime that's filled with reasons to smile, from Uncle Al, Bullfrog 79, my friend and mentor. And thank you for your service. And thank you, Wayne, Living Dangerous, and the Ungrateful Peasant. Thank you for your service. Endless Bible Stories, welcome. Let me check you out. Did you come over from my friend Dave, or as he calls himself these days, Yoda? Let me see here. Trying to do this. Well, my friend Endless Bible Stories, you now have another subscriber. Let me give you, oh, Lord, Endless Bible Stories, add as a moderator. You are now a moderator, Melinda. Twice. Here we go, we're back. Oh, I remember that word, groovy. So we are about midway through, and update on the the trailer. Gonna do some camping this summer. Getting a new travel trailer. Got approved by my bank for the loan. It'll be 60 months. I don't know if the interest is good, but it'll be 7.5%. And I plan on paying it off in a lot less than 60 months. But anyway, it is what it is. And I plan on using it some. We'll do some, well, for one, you know, it's going to have solar, it's going to be solar hookup. It's going to be wired for solar. It's going to have 12 volt. So like your lighting is 12 volt. It's going to have propane. So, you know, like your stove is propane, your heater's propane. Your hot water heater's propane. And it'll be wired for an inverter. I have to get an inverter for it. You know, there's certain upgrades. And I'll do a tour. And my wife, we did pictures and video of it, and she did it on her phone. And she's supposed to send it to me, and she hasn't sent it to me. I'm still waiting for it. But, you know, I got pictures, you know, where I'm sitting there here, and I'm doing this, and I'm walking here, and it was like the tour, you know, but she hasn't sent it to me. And that's just, you know how that is sometimes. Anyway, just looking around, thinking about things that I need to do and such. Let me mention the water video that I just got through doing. Water's one leg of preparedness. Like you talk about your 72-hour survival kit or whatever you need. If you don't have running water, you need a gallon of water a day for each person. Now that can be a gallon jug. It can be a 3-gallon jug. It can be a 5-gallon jug. It can be water bricks, different sources. You have a rain catchment or a big drum, outside. Something that's you can keep clean water in, or water that you can treat. But you need a gallon a day. You're supposed to drink 8 to stay hydrated. You're supposed to drink, especially like if it's hot, sweaty weather, 8 8-ounce glasses. So 16 ounces, which is 2 glasses, is a pint. 2 pints or 4 8-ounce glasses is a quart, or what you call like a liter, which is 34 ounces. Or supposed to basically have a half a gallon of water a day. So where are you going to get that water from? Where are you going to get your water from? Please tell me. And that's the reason why, and I hadn't filled it yet. And I've got a bunch of these. 3 gallons. Got a nice handle. They're stackable. I stack them 4 high. And I like these. This is a gallon of water. This is not light. You might think it's lightweight, but this is a gallon. I'm getting old. I don't like carrying these. I could carry 2 of these with these handles like this in one hand. So you could theoretically carry 4 gallons if you're like getting them out of the car, taking them someplace. But each gallon, 8 pounds. A gallon. 8 pounds. So if I'm carrying one of those 3-gallon ones, that's over 24 pounds. Now when I was young, 24 pounds was nothing. 40 pounds. 50 pounds was nothing. I can remember back in the day carrying 100-pound sacks of a feed. Carrying bales of hay. They're not lightweight. Better be wearing gloves too. I can remember that back in the day when I was a lot younger. Nowadays, 35-pound bag of dog food. Ugh. Why do you think I'm carrying those little ones I get at Aldi's? Little ones at Aldi. They're like 8 pounds. Getting old. I can't do what I used to do. John Holmes, welcome. You had to sign into your YouTube account. In other words, what you're saying is, I'm a dangerous man. Oh, man. Well, I'm sorry you had to go through so much hell to get to my channel. Yeah, Uncle Al oftentimes says, well, they're putting a content warning on you, or was it Wayne? Somebody. I've had a few people tell me that they get content warnings on me. Do you think my content is that dangerous? I'm not trying to put out anything subversive. Like they say, do you feel responsible? Well, yes, at one time I was a Democrat, so I feel responsible. It's like, reformed. No longer. Back in the day when the party meant something, a long time ago. Viewer warning. I had to click on to view. Well, okay. Yeah, car battery was not cheap, little loan prepper. I know those. That's not cheap. Not cheap at all. Lord. Oh, Lord. Just things I laugh about, things I think about. You have to be able to laugh at yourself. I laugh at myself all the time. Don't take yourself too seriously. You know, people get all pumped up with pride. Like some of the kids at school. I have a master's degree. Well, congratulations. I got 2 of those. You know, I don't run around, talking about titles and this, that, and the other thing. Well, I got 2 bachelor's degrees. I got 2 master's degrees. Okay. I have an associate's. I'm proud of all of them. Well, why don't you get a doctorate? Well, I don't need the money. I don't need to go in, I'm not that big of an ego that I need the title. For one thing, when I think of doctor, I think of medical doctors. I'd be more likely to go by professor. When I think of doctors, I think of medical doctors or dentists, eye doctors, obstetricians, ophthalmologist, optometrist. That's what I think of when I think of doctors, But, they say pride cometh before a fall. And there are people who walk around with a chip on their shoulder, like they're bad. And I'm sure at some point in time when I was a lot younger, I probably had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. But, with age comes wisdom. So when I used to say what all I knew, now it's like I know what all I don't know. And I don't know a lot more than what I know. So I tend to make fun of a lot of that. Hillbilly Prepper. Yeah, I hear you. Hello, Hillbilly. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate you. Josh has got a good channel, and his channel is growing. He's a young man working hard, making money for his family. Got a good-looking son. Every so often, I see pictures of his son. He posts stuff on his, his channel of his son, who I'm sure is very proud of his father. Hey, take advantage. Keep that relationship going. Shoot lots of footage for when they get older, you get older. And that's something they can't take away from you, is your relationship with your child. Love y'all too. Yeah, and with age comes pain. I take meloxicam for mine. It's an anti-inflammatory. And I take every day I take meloxicam. It is an Advil-based anti-inflammatory, and it really has kicked the crap out of my arthritis. Rarely do I have pain. Once in a while I do, and then they say, "Well, don't take Advil. Take like Tylenol or take, a Motrin or something other than." Like I had a headache. I don't remember if it was yesterday or the day before, but I recently had a headache. and I just took a couple of aspirins. I took my medication in the morning, and I always take a baby aspirin, 88 milligram baby aspirin, and I took 2 aspirins, and that 30 minutes later I didn't have a headache. Well, yeah, I will tell you this, Wayne. You're still a young man, but as you get older, your mind, you will be wiser in your decisions, and you will have clarity. You'll have more clarity when it comes to common sense, and and I don't know if you've got any young children, but as they grow, and as you work with them as they grow, that will improve your mind, your clarity for making decisions. Um, I was, I've been reviewing with the kids because I'm responsible for history. One of the subjects I have to teach with this unit that I'm at, I teach history. Last year, I would do Texas history and I did U.S. history. And this year, I'm just basically doing U.S. history. So we've been reviewing, getting ready for the state assessment, which includes a social studies test for 8th grade. And I've just been doing a broad review of U.S. history. You look at critical decisions that were made, either mistakes or right on, that affected things one way or another. A lot of stuff came down to chance. A lot of stuff came down. A lot of stuff came down to, well, they say at Waterloo, Napoleon had a seizure, and his generals were making decisions for him that he wouldn't have made, and it affected him. The other thing about Waterloo was, it wasn't the British that did Napoleon in; it was the German cavalry, the Prussians. Blucher came in with his cavalry at the right time, and the French cavalry, which was trying to chase his cavalry, were behind and weren't deployable, and the Prussian cavalry, the German cavalry, really went in and turned the tide. Uh, what would have happened if at Gettysburg General Lee hadn't insisted on Pickett's charge across that mile of open field? What would have happened if he hadn't committed those 15,000 troops to that? And what if they'd listened to Longstreet and moved and picked a better place to fight, which is traditionally what he did. He traditionally, being outnumbered, he'd always pick a highly defensible, high ground area where there was like stoneworks, or there was something that they had that would protect them to a certain extent, and that they were fighting from the high ground. And in that situation, that that was the worst move he made of the entire war, and it cost him. It really cost him. Um, yes, and it was friendly fire. Well, it's funny. I turned 63 this month. Lee died at 63. He died about 8 years after the war. He was in his mid 50s, early to mid 50s during the Civil War. And I think when the war ended, he was about 55 years old. And yeah, he did have blood pressure problems. he did have health issues. They're saying that he was sick at Gettysburg. You know, his mind not have been, he wasn't sleeping well. His mind not have been what it could have been. Decision making. One, Jeb Stuart wasn't screening the way he should have been, so he didn't have his cavalry. You know, and he was suffering from that, and he was really stressed out over where's his cavalry, where's the cavalry at, and Stuart was in the backfield trying to, raise Cain with the Federals. Took a lot of baggage, took a lot of supplies. Uh, he showed up, and then Lee dressed him down. You know, and that hurt. They probably would not have fought there if Stuart had been doing what he should have been doing, or at least some of his forces. He had the bulk of his force with him. Some of them should have been screening. Some of them really should have been screening for the Confederate advance. But I don't want to get into too much Civil War. Yes, and it was friendly fire. And when he got hit in the arm. It wasn't a fatal shot, fatal wound. But he wound up getting sepsis. He got pneumonia. And he died about 10 days later. Fever. They didn't have antibiotics. Blood poison. They didn't have antibiotics. If they'd had antibiotics, he would have lived. The other thing is, if they'd had a little bit better medicine, they wouldn't have cut his arm off. Back then, they'd cut your arm or your leg off. You got wounded, let's cut off the arm or the leg. It's very barbaric. They were just learning about hygiene when it comes to, well, you better clean your instruments. You better wash your hands. They weren't even wearing masks, at that time. So, it is what it is. Yeah, well, I know he got hit in the hand one time. I think it was like at First Bull Run, if I'm not mistaken. But he got hit in the hand. He was holding his hand up because it was, bleeding. He was just holding his hand up. But he got hit in the hand one time. I know that happened. What ifs? So here's another. Uncle Al's going to go crazy over this one. It's like, no, don't say it. You're drifting. Don't say it. But seriously, so they talk about reparations. Okay, the Civil War happened over 150 years ago. Nobody that was alive back then is alive now. Nobody whose father was alive back then, or whose generations have gone by. And they talk about, like, there are places like Illinois, which was a northern state, free state, California, which was a free state. They didn't have slavery. And you got some of these places, and they're talking about reparations. They want reparations, They're broke, but they're talking about reparations. So then the other thing is, these horrible white people, and then you got these white liberals who feel so bad because 150 years ago, one of their ancestors might have owned a slave. Probably didn't, but might have. And, okay, so they say, well, we really feel like our race and everything, we owe reparations. So, the black slave owners that own slaves, are you going to charge them reparations? Are you going to hunt down who their relatives are, or their descendants are? and charge and make them pay reparations for owning black slaves. Because there were black people that were well-to-do, that were free, that were slave owners. Gonna hunt them down? You know, there weren't a lot, but there were a lot. But not that a lot. But there were a lot of them. So, what do you say to them? You know, well, slavery exists today in Africa. Black people owning black people. You know, black people selling black people to these slave traders. They're fighting a war, villages fighting, countries fighting, they take prisoners, they sell them. Slavery still exists today. So when you start talking about stuff like that, know what you're talking about, but also, come on now. Yes, and there were white slaves. Yes, yes, and the Romans, the Greeks and the Romans. You know, yeah, they practiced slavery. Yep, 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 yep. Yep, that's right, Uncle Al. Yep, 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 yep. So, what do you say? Well, let's see. 6 in the house, 13 likes. But history. I'm thinking about stuff that I can send people that follow me. I'm in the process of sending follow-up goodie boxes. Joseph Moore, I have to troll him with the video, and he'll be getting a follow-up box from me. He sent me a nice gift. I have to do the video. I have to do the mail call of what he sent me. He sent me a really nice gift. He and his missus, thank you so much. And I'm going to do a review of it. Good stuff. I'm blessed. I'm blessed to have the friends that I have. I'm blessed to have the YouTube friends that I have. I'm blessed to have the family that I have. So many people have gone. You know, when you're a late life baby, people leave earlier. You know. When I was 40 years old, my mother was 80. If my father had been alive, my father would have been 90 when I was 40. You know. Now, I have relatives that lived into their 90s. With their minds. Might be half blind, might be hard of hearing, but they had their minds. And they lived into their 90s. Hopefully I'll be that way. I hope. Not the blind, the hard of hearing, but you never know. I'm getting there. But you know, you have to thank God for what you have. You have to thank God for the day. We have the ideal prayer that the Lord gave us, the Lord's Prayer. And, you know, if you take medication, you have to take your medication. You have to be vigilant in taking your medication. Have your routines down. Follow your routines. I believe in. I have my faith. I was taught. I have my home training. I've tried to instill in my children what my parents instilled in me. May they rest in peace. But so many people these days don't have home training. They weren't raised by a mother and a father. They might have been raised by a mother who struggled. They might have been raised by grandparents. They might have been in foster care. A lot of people are messed up. A lot of people are messed up. A lot of people have issues, you know. And so I just, I think about it. I think about lots of stuff. When I'm alone, which I'm often alone, I think memories come back. You live over 60 years. Got a lot of memories back there. I've done a lot of things. I have a lot of fond memories. I have a few unpleasant memories, but I have a lot of fond memories. Most of my memories about, like, my father was him screwing something, screwing up. Like walking down a path hunting, and it's a little muddy, and all of a sudden he slips and he slides and he gets mud all over him. Or, it's a cold day and we stop and get gas and we get drinks, and he pops a can between his legs and things start spewing out. Frozen soda starts spewing out, and it dried. He was wearing khaki pants, tan khaki pants, and it dried. We went hunting. We had to go home so he could change because it looked like he peed himself. He had like a dark stain on his pants in the crotch. He didn't want people to think he pissed himself. So it's like, those are the kind of memories. Having a horse bump him into a cactus, and then having to go to the doctor, and he looked like a mummy from they had to pull all those cactus needles out of him and then give him a tetanus shot, and bandaged him all up. He looked like a mummy. I remember laughing, and I'm sure he was just suffering from the pain, just what had happened to him. And I have memories of just things happening to him. He was very active, and things would happen. Yes, Stephanie. I understand. She was 36 when she had you. Well, my kids were born in the late 90s. The latter 90s, my kids were born. My two girls. And I think I was 36 when Amanda was born. Yeah, 36. I was 36 years old when Amanda was born. Hello, Viking Jetka. Welcome. Viking Jetka is a relatively young channel, 23 subscribers, 30 videos. Videos, shorts, posts. And I am subscribed, Viking Jetka. Welcome. Thank you, Uncle Al. Appreciate you. God bless. Thank you, Uncle Al. I appreciate you. And thank you again for the card. God bless you. Well, a couple of things I'll say as Uncle Al leaves stage left. As they're looking into, as they have the power to look into things now, because, you know, they're in control, they're finding that there were a lot of people that were issued Social Security numbers that are not legal citizens. They're also finding that there are people on government assistance that are not legal citizens, and they're finding a lot of voodoo, and they're going to start prosecuting a bunch of these people. And now that they've got some Supreme Court rulings that say you can evict these people, you can send them to El Salvador or wherever you're sending them to, or you can send them back to their countries. Send them. They're working on building the wall. None of this is going to happen overnight. As they're doing it, none of this is going to happen overnight. Ooh, I went dark. And it is about time. It is. Truthfully. So, at this point, I've got to get my computer straightened out so I can start live streaming on it. The family of the boy who stabbed another boy has a GoFundMe. He already has almost $500K in the GoFundMe. Yeah, I hear you. It's going to take time, but it'll happen. Hello, Mike. Mike is coming in at the tail end. Viking is in Canada. Yeah, things are not good. Truth. Things are not good. Oh, are they learning? Are they doing like cheer practice? Exercise. They do that. My daughter, I sent her to a camp. She'd go in the evenings. I'd go and I'd watch. I was like usually the only father there. It was usually the moms that would do that. The girls were learning how to do tumbling and how to, do all sorts of flipping and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Well, it's been a long day. I may or may not do a live stream tomorrow. I've got to go over to my bank. I've got to try to make arrangements for to put the new trailer that I'm purchasing on my insurance. And my wife's just anxious to get the thing on my driveway. She's got a camping trip scheduled the end of May. And it's like, well, that's what, 6 weeks from now. Why are you in such a hurry? It's going to happen the next week or 10 days or whatever. But she's just like a dog with a bone, type thing. Anyway, I do appreciate y'all coming in. And please look at my videos. I mean, I appreciate you looking at my shorts. But do many videos, but look at my videos. That water video that I just got through doing, both of those water videos are good videos. The one where I use the camp stove to boil water, make coffee, that's a good video. They're not too long, you know, those aren't long videos. Remember, if you want to qualify for my next drawing for the 1900 subscribers, and I'm getting close, please leave a like and a supportive comment on each of the last 5 videos I will have released videos. So stay up with them, because I might release 1 or 2 more videos before I hit 1900. So it doesn't do if your last 7 or 8 videos, and then if I do a couple of more, if you haven't, you know, if you don't stay up with them, you won't be in the drawing. And right now, there aren't going to be that many people in the drawing. I mean, I'm looking at it. There aren't going to be that many people in the drawing. Last time there's 14. So it's a real nice box. Real nice box. Thank you for subbing. I appreciate it. And I am sub to you. Take care, Wayne. I appreciate you. All right, guys. Everybody, please remember to be prepared. Preparedness. Water. Food. Your medication. You know, means to heat your water. And hopefully we'll see you again very soon for another edition of Coffee Talk. Thank you and God bless. I appreciate you. Good night. Push the button.